To learn the good, the bad, and the reality of the nomadic lifestyle, click the subscribe button so you don't miss anything. Click the bell notification. I don't usually make technical videos. I used to make them all the time, but I really began to realize that I'm not an expert in any of the technical aspects of the nomadic lifestyle. You know, I have a DC battery operated system but my whole house runs off AC. But that doesn't make me an expert. It's not like I spent my life learning every aspect of AC and DC electric. I just know what works. And it works pretty good for me. But anytime I make a video where I talk about technical things, all the experts come out of the woodwork telling me how wrong I am. And so then you end up spending all kinds of time trying to defend yourself on why you feel like you didn't really misrepresent anything or that you were lying about anything. I know just the other day I made a video about lithium batteries being flammable. Now, I didn't specify lithium phosphate or lithium, I think it's phosphate, or any type of specification. Lithium batteries is what I was talking about. Lithium itself is very flammable. So if it has lithium in it, surely it's flammable. Well, I got so many comments coming back saying, no, Rob, you're wrong. Lithium phosphate batteries are what's used in RVs, and they're not flammable at all. They're very, very safe. And I thought, well, why is lithium phosphate battery so much safer than lithium? They both got lithium in it. So I pulled up what is called the SDS information. What it is, it's called the safety data sheet. Every manufacturer that manufactures something has to have a safety data sheet associated with it. It's by law. And it tells you all the chemical properties of whatever it is they're producing, the fire hazards and all that. So I pulled that up to see. And sure enough, everything I said about lithium batteries held true with lithium phosphate batteries as well. They're very flammable. Here I'm getting told I'm wrong when the sheet that is required by the government for manufacturers to have says that if you pour water on a battery, a lithium phosphate battery, it will increase the flammability of the battery. So you're going to make it worse. And what I said in the video is use Class D fire extinguishers on lithium. So, I try to stay away from this. I know I made a long story about why I don't talk about technical things, but that's why. But I will say something about solar panels. I don't use solar panels out here on the nomadic lifestyle. And I am told that is just the most ridiculous thing in the world. Why wouldn't you use solar panels? Because quite frankly, I've been much happier with my generator. It's to me, more reliable. About 15 years ago, I installed solar panels onto my house. Well, of course, back then they were very expensive, much more expensive than they are now. But I learned a valuable lesson. To me, they're more work than they're worth. There just wasn't enough dependency on them for me to actually care about having them. It put a bad taste in my mouth. I don't like them. We're going to live off-grid. We're going to buy a piece of property, build a small house, and live off-grid. And of course, electric is going to be a huge concern. Living out here in the nomadic lifestyle, I'm not I'm not trying to be a big off-gridder type of person living in a nomadic lifestyle. I just wanted to travel, enjoy myself. And so the generator worked very, very well. It produces all the power we ever need. So about 6 to 8 hours a day, I run the generator and charge my batteries. And while I'm charging my batteries, I plug everything into the generator. Gives me plenty of power. And then for the rest of the day, I'm on batteries. If I'm driving, my truck will charge my house batteries. So I have this, gas engine of some sort, always charging my batteries. And it's worked very well for 3 years. The only time I've ever had a real problem, and it wasn't even a problem, I made it through, was when we were down in Texas. We were getting free electric and free water at our city parks. And we had a storm come through and they lost electric. Well, that meant I had to run the generator. Well, I didn't have a lot of gas. I didn't need gas. I wasn't carrying gas. I had about half a 5-gallon jug. So 2.5 gallons, which would have lasted me, 22 hours. It would have lasted a good long time. But I got concerned that I was going to run out of gas. But I wasn't going to be able to go over to the gas station and get any gas because they didn't have any electric either. So if the generator would have ran out of gas, I wouldn't have had any electric unless I ran the truck. Now the truck would have charged the batteries. So, I had a few days where I could have stayed there. But, our plan was, no big deal. If we run out of gas, we'll just get in the truck and go to the next campground. But when you're off grid, that may not be an option. So generator isn't going to work for us as an off-grid lifestyle. Solar panels would be my next option. Seems like an obvious option. Well, I don't agree. First of all, in Missouri, it's a very wooded area. And so in order for me to actually have solar, I'm going to have to clear off a huge path to get, several hundred watts of solar. And it all depends on how much electricity I want to use. In the wintertime, I'm going to have to use quite a bit of electricity because I'm going to have to heat water somehow or another, because we're going to collect rainwater and stream water. So we're going to have to figure out a way to keep all that thawed out. So that means I'm going to have a lot of solar panels. Let's just say I have 10. That's 1,000 watts, 10 times 100 watt panels. The other thing is solar does not give you any energy during the night. So that means you got to run on batteries. And you got to have reliable batteries, lithium batteries, of course. But they're so sensitive, you can't freeze them. You got to be careful they don't catch on fire. So, there's a lot of concerns with lithium batteries. So I would like to limit the amount of batteries I actually need. And on cloudy days, I'm not going to get as much power as I do on sunny days. So like today, I wouldn't get as much power. So if I need power, since there's snow on the ground, my water tanks are probably going to freeze, I'm going to need a lot of electricity. So solar just doesn't seem like it's going to be a reasonable option. And if it is an option, I'm going to have a backup system. So that means I'm also going to have a generator. Most anytime I do any research on solar panels for off-grid living, they always talk about having a backup generator. So now I got to have gas, got to be able to store gas. So it's just, to me, a lot of money for not a lot of effect. And then if it gets too hot, then I've done a lot of research on this. For every 10 degrees over 70 degrees, you lose a certain percentage of efficiency from your solar panels. In order to get that efficiency, you got to cool them off. So then you might have to run water on them. That's what I did when I had them on my house. Every few hours, when it got up to 100 degrees, I'm up there spraying them off. And so now I'm wasting water because now, you remember, I'm collecting rainwater and using creek water. So that's going to be a lot of effort. And then there's the third one. And this one I've actually done and I've built windmills before. And you can build windmills all kinds of different ways. Use different motors, DC motors. And you can create a DC electric with a DC motor. The problem is it really has to spin fast in order to get enough volts, 12 volts to charge. So what I used it for was to amplify the amps on my solar panels. I'm not going to get into all the equations or anything. When it was sunny and it was windy, I would get 12 volts, I'd get about 15 volts from my solar panels, and just a few amps from the solar panels. Well, then the wind generator would pick up and put more amps into the system. Really helped out. Well, so I have been trying to figure out how to do all this. Well, the other day during my research, something occurred to me. Hydroelectric. We just looked at a piece of property that had a stream on it. A year-round stream. Water was always going through. It wasn't just a, wet weather stream. It was, I guess, comes from an underground spring. And I was thinking, if we could find a place with a spring water like that, where there's constant water, or a river, I could do hydroelectric. And so I was kind of thinking that I would build my own, again, using the windmill idea, where I would have some sort of rotor spinning, and I could amplify the speed, so it got enough volts and all that kind of thing. And I was really thinking about it. Well, I went ahead and Googled it. They sell these now. They actually sell a camping hydro generator where you just stick it in the water and it produces 200 watts. The advantage to hydroelectric is it's 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Whereas solar, you only get 8 hours of electricity. So you'd have to have 1,000 watts so you could suck up as much electricity as you could possibly get in the 8-hour day. With hydroelectric, you can do 200 watts an hour, 24 hours a day, and basically equal out the amount of sun to the water. The other thing is these things are like $400 a piece. If you got two of them, you'd have 400 watts, 24 hours a day. It's a lot of electricity. So I'm really considering doing hydroelectric if I can find a piece of property with a year-round stream. Thanks for watching. Click like if you like the video, and happy travels.